These experiences we have between birth and death, perhaps the easiest way to explain them is to not throw you the keys to the Bugatti Veyron, metaphorically speaking, but to use an analogy which is to do with learning to drive, because you have to learn to drive these physical vessels. You are the operant, immortal soul within this physical vehicle. How you behave on the road or the spiritual path is very much reflected in driving. Are you that type of driver that, oh, I see everybody else on the road as my enemy, as a challenge. I'm going to overtake that one more vehicle before my exit from the freeway. I'm going to cut them up. I'm potentially going to cause an accident by doing that. Or am I going to slot in and go with the flow and be courteous? Have I asked myself, would I want that done to me? But of course, like driving, you're not going to get it all on the first driving lesson. You may have to learn to master the gears if you have a manual transmission, as well as the actual feel of the vehicle, being able to judge distances, being able to judge the widths and so on. Always on the lookout for potential hazards, expecting the unexpected. Doing it by repetition, however many driving lessons it may take you, until you pass that test and you demonstrate and you show to that examiner that you are more than capable of controlling the vehicle. That is what the spiritual path is very much like. It is mastering the controls to be able to handle any situation, to not put yourself or others in danger in the process as you go about your busyness, getting from A to B. But also pause to enjoy the moment, enjoy the beautiful scenery if you happen to be out on the countryside, but also be very aware of everything that is around you. Be in the present moment with driving as much as with this spiritual path. Do take frequent checks in the mirror as well. In other words, look back, consider how far you've come already on your spiritual path, on your journey, and then consider the same distance you've still got to go. Where will you be when you get to the end of that journey? See it as something exciting, as something wonderful, where you are going to gain experiences. Whether you actually like the experiences, in the moment they can seem very negative. In the road sense, you may get held up in congestion. But some of that can be negated by a little bit of preparation, a bit of forward planning, taking active steps in the direction and the location we wish to end up. Driving is a beautiful analogy to use, but it's about getting in that vehicle. It's not just about reading the theory on how to drive. You need to get in a vehicle to know what it feels like. How heavy is that steering? How much pressure do I need to put on that brake pedal? How much pressure do I need to put on the accelerator pedal? It's not just about being able to move forward. It's also being in control of your vehicle and bringing it to a stop when it is needed. If let's say a small child runs out in front of you, being able to control that vehicle safely. Likewise, in the spiritual sense, are you going to react and go into a skid, as it were, and cause a lot more damage that could have been avoided just by being aware of the situation, the environment you're in? There's no point doing 70 miles an hour or 120 kilometers in a sort of built-up residential area where there are potentially going to be children playing in the road. So we have to be aware of the environment we're in and act accordingly, and do so in a safe manner. That comes through taking charge of the vehicle that you are in and mastering the ability to go forward with expecting the unexpected of any potential hazard, any potential challenge that comes our way that we cannot predict. So I hope that has helped put things into a more sort of mundane daily context. If you have learnt to drive and you are, say, an experienced driver, just look in the mirror to that first driving lesson you had, compared how you would have driven the vehicle then to how you can drive the vehicle now. But also consider, are you a good driver? Most people think they are, but really, are you a good driver? Are you aware of other vehicles on the road? Consider the 44-ton heavy trucks, how much braking distance they need, for example, and are you cutting up in front of one of those, which would be a very dangerous thing to do. It could put an end to many people's lives, especially if it is a fuel tanker, something that has liquid in it. If you start making a truck have to brake hard when they've got liquid moving about in a tanker that's sitting behind the cab of that truck, consider what's happening with that load, all because we wanted to get one up on that truck. To sort of jump the gun, as it were, because we've got to get there. But it is at the expense of others. That's not really being aware, is it? That is not doing things safely. So I thought I'd use that illustration because it is a very good illustration to use. Consider also the motorbike. Consider it might be raining and you've got that spray that's coming off the road. Is there, in particular, a grey or silver coloured car that is overtaking you if you're on a freeway? And have they got their lights on? Check your mirrors and then check them again. Always look twice before making any manoeuvre. Weigh things up. Consider the potential outcomes of all that you do. Use this pattern not just for driving, but use this pattern as part of your daily life, so you can successfully get from A to B on your spiritual journey as much as your physical journey, safely and arriving in one piece and not causing carnage or getting there at the expense of others. So with that, I am going to say unconditional love to you all. That's the driving lesson over for this video, as it were. But even if you passed your test, it is about having the confidence to be able to go out there into any situation. Maybe it's your first time in a vehicle on your own and you are on a road with a much higher speed. Allow yourself time to adjust. Take time to enjoy the moment. So as always, unconditional love to you all.